let's get into the show. Michiko and Hatchin.
Woo!
Wahoo!
Like we said last week, we decided kind of spontaneously that this is what our show is going to be right before we recorded last week's episode. Which I would like to apologize for its lateness. I had to go up to New York to help Nina move.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, this anime was suggested to us towards the beginning of the Toon Goons. I don't remember who suggested it. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. I don't remember who.
It's
you
lost
are.
to the annals of time. That was a year ago.
It was a year ago, but we're finally doing it. I hope you're still with us to enjoy. This anime really blew my mind because I had no idea it existed at all. Like, I hadn't heard anything about it. And it was made in 2008.
Yeah, it's not a new thing. It's not like one of those things that blows, like where the Japanese version blows up and they rush to dub it, like, you know, like Kill la Kill or Attack on Titan.
Apparently Funimation localized it in 2013, but still, I thought I would have heard something.
I saw some GIFs on Tumblr, and I put it in the back of my mind. I never really forgot about it, but with this show, it's hard to check up on stuff that I'm not immediately about to talk about for an hour on Monday.
Yeah. I mean, the only GIFs I saw were the ones Toonami were putting out since they're airing it now. But before that, I had no clue this even existed, and the people behind it are amazing. And it's a really fascinating, cool little show.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
So this is the directorial debut of Sayo Yamamoto, who is known. She's only had 2 shows that she's directed so far. This, and then her second show, The Woman Called Fujiko Mine, which got a lot of press and talk and buzz, which is a show I do really want to visit, actually.
Me too.
Like, a lot.
Yep.
I saw, like, one episode, and I was just like, whoa, this is crazy.
I also want to see the dub, because I just found out yesterday that Lupin is voiced by Sonny Strait, who is the dub voice of Krillin in Dragon Ball and Usopp in One Piece, respectively.
Awesome.
And he's a cool guy.
Yeah, and she's been in the industry for a little while. In fact, Satoshi Kon actually was really impressed with her work right out of college. He found her work and really, really wanted her to work on Millennium Actress. But apparently there was some studio politics and she was forced to leave the project, which is unfortunate. So she had her debut at Studio Madhouse, worked on X, worked under some other random OVAs, but the first project she got to do where she said she felt she really got to express herself as an artist was Samurai Champloo.
Yeah!
And so if this show feels similar, that's why. 'Cause she worked on that show and contributed a lot.
It super does.
Yeah,
So,
like there's a very strong, what's his first name? Shinichiro Watanabe?
yes.
Shinichiro?
Shinichiro.
There's a very strong, Watanabe vibe in this. Like, you watch the title sequence and you'll be forgiven for thinking, oh, this is definitely his show. It's not. He produced the music for it, which is obvious, but it takes, you know, a lot of inspiration from his stuff, and out of all of them, especially Champloo, because it's a road show with a definitive goal, but largely episodic progression.
Yeah. So after working on Champloo...
But like Champloo, like, it has a resolution at the end
Yeah.
that it was building to the whole time.
So yeah, after working on Champloo, I guess the studio was impressed with her, and they offered her the chance to direct her own project with full creative control, which is a great opportunity for anybody. So she was like, okay, I'm still working on Champloo, but I'm gonna think about it, and I'll get back to you. And during that time, she took a trip to Brazil, and that's really where she got the idea for the location for this show, and like, it really gave her the inspiration to create what the show is. And when she unveiled the series, she said she wanted women especially to watch the show. She said, our time slot was late at night, so office ladies would be returning home and worn out from the day. And we could have a beer, and they could have a beer and watch it. And she's really cool, because if you know anything about The Woman Called Fujiko Mine, or this show, or anything she's done, she's also worked on a few episodes of random things here and there. She did an episode of Space Dandy, the band episode, I believe.
One of the best ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
She has a very overt, like, sexual approach to a lot of her work, but not in like a sexy way. It's sexual in a kind of a gross way almost sometimes. Like it's almost too much and stylized in this. I've heard it called like feminist raunch, where it's like it's so sexual that it's not even like for the male gaze anymore.
It vaults over the male gaze.
Yeah. Which is hard to do because men will jerk it to a lot of weird shit.
Yeah, men are fucking freaks.
Yeah.
You gotta try super hard. Most people fail, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if she succeeds all the way. Like, I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that this show is directed by a woman, considering how Michiko dresses and the opening sequence, like when it has her naked in it, which when I first saw, I was like, wait, what? But, yeah, she really has her own sense of style and politics about it, and like what she wants to do with her work and how she wants to make her female characters. And it really shows through with the main leads of this show.
Absolutely.
So what is the show about?
This show is about two women, Michiko, an ex-con, and Hatchin, real name Hana, an orphan, escaped from her foster parents, searching for a man who is Hatchin's father and Michiko's ex-lover, Hiroshi Morenos, through a country that is completely fictitious but heavily based on Brazil.
Yeah. It's effectively Brazil.
And what I love about it is that it's got this Japanese-Brazilian fusion thing going on, which is most evident in the names. Almost everybody has Japanese first names and Brazilian surnames. Michiko Malandro.
Which means scoundrel in Portuguese.
Hiroshi Morenos.
Which means blacks or dark-haired ones in Spanish, apparently.
Satoshi Batista. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, Brazil has the highest population of Japanese people outside of Japan, so it's not, completely made up. But
yeah.
From the setting, it's not like the Japanese influence is driving anything, because most of the characters are black. They're African-Brazilian.
Yeah.
Afro-Brazilian.
Afro-Brazilian, and the lighter-skinned characters seem to occupy a higher class, a lot more privileged. It's a whole thing.
Just like in real Brazil.
Yeah.
It mirrors
Now,
Brazilian
speaking
politics.
of Brazil, I do want to point out a few things from the blurb about Michiko and Hatchin from the Funimation website.
Oh, thank you. Let's clear this air.
The creators of Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo turned squealing tires and wailing sirens into an art form in the south of the border adventures of Michiko and Hatchin. Which border? Venezuela? And then later, it's two against the world in this sun-soaked, Latin-tinged tale of partners in crime who won't stop running until they chase down a dream. Brazil is not part of Latin America. It is definitively not.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Brazil is its own thing entirely. They don't speak Spanish. They speak Portuguese. They're influenced by the Portuguese. They have a slightly different history than the countries that were colonized by the Spanish, because the Portuguese conducted themselves differently. They were way crazier into the slave trade, for instance, which is why there's so many Afro-Brazilians compared to other nations in Latin America, like ratio-wise, of like white to colored mix. So like it's a different culture. Like people tend to group it together and think it's all the same, and it's similar. I mean, yeah, they had the whole like natives and then European colonizers, and then they brought African slaves, and it was this big mess.
It's all the same bullshit European imperialism that formed what are now these countries, but the history and culture is different. It's not the same goddamn thing. The language looks like Portuguese, just looks like Spanish, but with bullshit accent marks on the vowels. But if you actually hear somebody speak Portuguese, it's crazy.
It sounds nothing like Spanish. It sounds kind of like French. It's like Spanishy French, but not a Creole. It's its own thing.
And with like a mouthful of marshmallows.
Yeah. Like growing up as kids, me and Nikki, we had like a family friend, or a family that was also friends with our family that was from Brazil. And, we used to have those kind of cultural revelations about ourselves, because, like, our mom and their mom would speak to each other, my mom in Spanish and their mom in Portuguese. But there was a lot of...
kind of work?
It kind of worked, but there was a lot of times they were like, I have no idea what the hell you're saying. I'm so confused.
If you go linguistically, I mean, the two languages developed in the same part of the world, both on the Iberian Peninsula, but there's a lot of the stuff that's divided it, especially when you bring it over to the Western Hemisphere and the language evolves away from the motherland with all these different cultures. So yeah, they're pretty different languages, but like I could still read a lot of the signage.
Yeah.
Because I can speak most of Spanish.
Right. But like, or saying that Michiko is like this spicy Latina, she's not.
I'm gonna kick your ass.
She's not a Latina.
I'm gonna get a job at Funimation so I can fire the person who wrote this blurb. I hate this so much.
Yeah.
Good luck climbing up that corporate ladder. It's apparently a shit show.
How does it work? Hispanics are anybody who comes from a nation where Spanish is the dominant language. Latinos are people from Latin America. And then South Americans are anybody in the entire continent.
Wait, are Spaniards considered Hispanic?
Spaniards are considered Hispanic, but Latinos aren't Spanish. So a Spanish person is only someone from Spain. Latino person is only someone from Latin America. They're both technically Hispanic, but Brazil is not included.
In any of those.
In any of this.
I learned a new thing. I didn't know that Spaniards were considered Hispanic. I thought it was synonymous with Latinos.
Yeah, I read it just means a nation where Spanish is the dominant language, or Spanish-speaking people.
So, like we said, none of us, we basically knew dick about this show going into it. So, want to do round robin impressions?
Sure. Tush, we've been talking a lot.
Yeah, sorry, I was just over here in the corner being white.
I was just gonna say that exact same goddamn sentence.
There are white people in Brazil.
Yeah, but the bad kind of white. Anyway, my initial impressions of the show, like again, it was giving me, like, it was definitely giving me Samurai Champloo vibes, just like from, not only from the art and animation, but the really basic, I guess the outline of the story, the really general, but two people on a quest to find a duder who probably they don't really need to look for. But
a bunch of misfits. More of a symbol than a real person.
Yeah, a bunch of misfits on a cross-national trip to find some son of a bitch. Real grade A piece of shit.
Absolutely. And like my all-time favorite thing about the show was just the complexity of Michiko and Hatchin as characters, and how like, because it's like with some shows, with a lot of shows, like, you could just sort of like summarize a character, or who they are, what purpose they serve in the plot, and how what their purpose is for. But like they both complement each other in really varying ways. Like they each have a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses, and then the other person's strengths and weaknesses balance them out. And it's I just really, really enjoyed just seeing which one of them would fuck up and which one of them would fix it.
Yeah. No, like, you're totally right. My first impression was, I mean, this is so cool, this is slick, this is stylish. Again, why
styling.
Haven't I heard of this? This seems like something people would talk about, because it is so similar to like a Watanabe show that people really like. The ambiguity also struck me a lot, because there were a lot of times where I didn't know what to think, or I wasn't even really sure what was going on in the characters' heads.
Yeah.
There was a lot of times where I'm like, I have no idea what they're thinking or what their problem is. But I know that they're having an issue, and it's really complex, and it's outside of me.
Honestly, like, part of it was, like, especially because, like, Hatchin is, very young and inexperienced, and Michiko's pretty dumb. And so I think a lot of the times when shit got really deep for one or both of them, I think the issue was probably also outside of them sometimes. Yeah. Like, they don't know what's going on.
Like, there's a lot of communication issues in the show. And, like, that's kind of a big theme of, like,
They can't vocalize their feelings half the time.
No, they can't.
It kind of runs with that whole anime thing where nobody ever answers a question with straightforwardly.
Yeah, but I feel like this show has a more legitimate reason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't
I
feel
believe
like
them.
they
It's
don't feel like
incorporated into the characters instead of just being shitty storytelling. I've been
Yeah.
playing a lot of Blaze Blue, so I'm really pissed about that again.
yeah, like they don't feel like those anime stereotype kind of characters in the sense that like, oh, I'm a tsundere, blah, like it's just
They're people.
they have their own issues and their way of dealing with things, and they just couldn't be more different from each other. Like, at all. And yet it's so strange that they can talk to each other on the same level despite the difference in age and experience. What was your impression?
I liked it a lot. Like, I found some of the stuff in the beginning really hard to watch. There's a lot of violence against women. A lot of it perpetrated by other women, but still.
Yeah, like, if you don't like the idea of women getting hit, it's not for you. But
Yeah.
Sayo Yamamoto has no qualms about being explicit with this kind of stuff.
Honestly, I found most of it more palpable than other stuff, because it's like, well, one, like, this is an action show, there's just a lot of violence all around the table going on, whereas, in other shows where, like, women get hit, it'll just be, like, some domestic dispute, and out of nowhere, someone will get slapped, and, like, the music drops, and it's this big, awkward moment.
Mm-hmm.
But, and, like, also, I don't know, it's just, like, I guess because it's, like, treated so passingly, and also because the setting, like, where they are, they're in, like, the worst parts of town a lot of times, in slums and stuff, like...
Yeah, they're in a rough places, and,
So it's like, yeah, like, if but I'm gonna get hit if I go there.
Or, like, Michiko will hit Hatchin sometimes, and it's like, you gotta understand where Michiko comes from. Like, she was raised in an orphanage, she's super poor, she's not very educated, like, she's not really good with talking and expressing her feelings, like, I mean, she doesn't behave how my mom behaves, but I know people have moms like that, and it's not because they mean badly or whatever, it's just that's how they know how to do things.
It's a character flaw. Like, it's not an it's not an excuse, but it's like, this is who she is.
Yeah.
The main reason why it sat so uncomfortably with me, and I absolutely understand what purpose it served narratively, like, it was to show, the grit and the brutality of the setting, but, like, the violence isn't stylized. It's pretty nasty. Like,
People just get fucking punched.
Yeah.
Like, hard.
And shot.
In the head.
Yeah. So like, when it's like a woman being beaten up by some cops in a jail, it's like, oh, this is real shit, and I hate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Honestly, my like, the hardest part for me was, like, the very beginning, like, Hatchin's foster family. I was like, oh my god, this is like,
and that was another thing.
Shit.
The different kind of abusive situation. Yeah, Hatchin lives with this foster family who are in it just for the child support. I did dig that the father was Padre Pedro.
Yeah, but he was an ass.
They're all a bunch of shitheads.
Yeah. But, like, the scene where she snapped, I was like, this is like fucking dissociative identity disorder origin story material right here. Like,
it's that flashback from Watchmen where Rorschach bites the ear off the kid.
Yeah, it's like fucking really bad.
Yeah,
though there is no sexual violence if you're concerned with that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice. That's pretty great.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's less of that stuff as the show goes on and they get out of those kind of situations, but it still happens occasionally.
Yeah.
It serves a narrative purpose. It never feels exploitative, but that doesn't mean it's not easy to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just not your cup of tea, then, like, nobody can, nothing's gonna for you.
Yeah, and it does escalate over time. Like, I mean, the world just doesn't relent on these people. Like, it never gets easier. Like, with Shampoo, they were on the run sometimes, or Bebop or whatever, but, like, this show is like, no, they're fucking always just on the edge of getting caught. And they depict it so very realistically, like, towards the end, where it's like, it's not even life. You can't even live when, every corner there's either cops or gangsters or who fuck knows else after you all the time. You know, it's not a sustainable lifestyle, so you're just kind of waiting for it to kind of crash and burn, and you hope it doesn't come at the expense of these people, because all they've been doing is struggling to survive.
Yeah. Some other impressions I had, I found like I really love the characters and their dynamics. Hatchin is I think one of my favorite anime characters in a long time.
Oh yeah.
She's just super endearing. She's wicked cute. I loved how in every episode her outfit was butcher than the last.
Yeah. Yep.
She's wonderful.
She's wearing like small denim jackets and backwards baseball caps like a 1990s lesbian.
All she needed was the flannel and
Jinko jeans.
I loved all the outfits. Like, for really poor people, I guess they were constantly stealing clothes because they always had cool outfits in each episode.
Probably.
I loved that. It was actually kind of DBZ that she just had a t-shirt that read Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Just English words on shirts.
In like a plain font. Just a really well put together show. Now, there were some episodes I had problems with, which we might get into if I can remember.
Yeah, but there are some parts that felt a little awkward and clumsy in the middle, where I'm just kind of like, I don't know what is this? Where is this going?
Yeah.
What are we doing? How is this going to end? Like, it definitely has flaws. I need some more time to sit on it to like really say this and this and this and this. But like, from first pass, it does feel a little bit, it could be more streamlined, or it could feel a little bit more connected, even though it is an episodic show by nature.
Yeah, my problems was mostly with the episodes that were purely standalone, like not having to deal with the other plot. Like the one that stands out to me the most is the one with the kid at the bookshop and the book.
Yeah.
And the memory loss. That episode sucked.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it.
I thought it was interesting, but again, like I didn't know where it was going. And
I feel like they never decided what Hatchin's opinion on this dude was.
And I think that was part of the point. Like, that's part of what I
think. Yeah, I think it's like, supposed to be about the irrationality of young love, but I just don't think it was handled. It just needed a little bit more consistency, or at least a more of an insight into Hatchin's.
Yeah, it was
mind.
way too like. It didn't really it didn't hold your hand at all. Like, I had no clue what the heck was going on in Hatchin's brain the entire time. I was like, what? I don't know what you feel.
Yeah, like, I think
no
this kid's a
clue.
fuckboy, because he objectively is. But, yeah. And there was a couple other stuff that, like, didn't work well, but I think overall the show definitely works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. It's fine.
Overall, it's a good and it has a wonderful conclusion, and everything that it comes together.
I actually got kind of close to crying at the conclusion.
Me too.
I cried.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, it's the release of a lot of buildup. Like,
oh my god, so much.
They get so close to this goal, which, like, as a viewer at that point, like, I just want them to be successful in the goal, even though I know they're not gonna like it, because, like, at this point, we know that the guy they're looking for, Hiroshi, is a grade A piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like, you know they need to do it because otherwise there would be no catharsis. You're like, you know it's not going to be great, but it just has to happen at this point. Life can't move on if they don't find this guy. And they do.
So I think the media I've been consuming recently is slowly chipping away at this carapace around my heart that's been building. So that'll be nice when that finally shatters.
Yeah. I did cry, but it was a lot calmer than usual when I get overly emotional. It was just because it was...
Well, you're still replenishing tears after Inside Out.
Yeah.
You just don't have that money. You're like Los Angeles. You're in a drought. You got to be careful.
Yeah, but I did tear up. It was just, you're right. It was a catharsis. It was emotional, and it just felt really satisfying.
Yeah, because where they ended up at the end felt right. Because, they didn't end up with Hiroshi for more than like 35 real life minutes because he sucks so bad. Yeah. But, I mean, they reunited, spoilers, and it was just really sweet. I loved it. I love the ending.
I love the ending too. One character we haven't talked about who's pretty important to the feel of the show and the plot is Atsuko. Atsuko Jackson, who is...
That's fucking dope.
She's so cool. She was an old friend of Michiko's. They grew up in the same orphanage. But she became a police officer and was kind of the person handling her case throughout while she was in prison and when she broke out of prison. She's kind of a hard person to put down. Like, you're not quite sure what her deal is, because, like, those scenes when they're still in prison, the flashback scenes, are pretty brutal. Like, she's not very likable at that point at all. But you get a lot of sense of baggage and more complicated stuff. And as the show goes on, it's really fascinating seeing her evolve and, like, what her relationship is to Michiko and, like, what her goal is, period. Like, she sacrifices so much, her career, her everything, because she's just kind of... She can't let Michiko go, I guess. Like, she can't give up on her, or she can't not think about her, or what. You know, it's an interesting, complex relationship.
Yeah, I really dug it. I don't feel like her character arc was like a 10 out of 10 perfect landing, but I think it overall definitely did work. There's some, kinks in honestly everybody's character, but I think that can be maybe attributed to the fact this is the first time that the director worked on anything. Like, not everybody nails it on the first try, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, this is a fucking great debut direction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, this is good shit. Another thing I liked about Atsuko...
Maybe if it was longer, they could have ironed out some of the more awkward bits. Because I feel like the show almost... Like, a lot of anime and a lot of shows in general, but a lot of anime in particular, tends to over-explain shit. I think the show actually would have benefited from a little more explanation than what we got. Just a little. Just a little bit.
Yeah. I think it was a good length, because I think on the other hand, if it was longer, stretching out inception to conclusion may have hurt it a bit. I feel like the pacing was pretty strong.
Yeah.
It felt like a good time for stuff to wrap up when it started wrapping up.
Yeah, definitely. I just think some episodes kind of lagged and maybe didn't need to be there. They could have done something a little more useful with their time.
Yeah. Another thing I liked about Atsuko is not only do we finally see an anime with some black people in it, which is like a great new thing, which shouldn't be new, that sucks. But, Atsuko is the first anime character I've seen who has an afro and it's not a goof. Every time you see an afro in a Japanese show, it's a goof.
That's true. Usopp in One Piece has an afro. He's technically black, but he's not dark. He's not that dark skinned, and I'm sure if you told some anime fans that Usopp in One Piece was black, they would disagree with you. They're garbage people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Michiko's nickname for her is Jambo, which is a Portuguese word referring to a kind of fruit that's kind of like a darker fruit that and it's like a nickname you give to dark-skinned people. Kind of the equivalent, like I know in Colombia, like tamarindo is a nickname for darker-skinned people because tamarins are a darker fruit. So that's interesting, I guess.
Starfire has kind of dark skin.
Tamarin? Oh, ha. Yeah. So just
that's the funniest fake laugh you've ever done.
So just in case you were curious what the Jambo thing was about, because at first I was confused too. I was like, "What is that?" And then I looked.
Sounds racist.
Yeah, it sounds offensive.
Now I don't know about the implication in Brazil or in Portuguese. I can't.
I'm just telling you what it is.
Like I know in Spanish, or at least in Colombian Spanish, there's a skin color that and I'm not exactly sure what it is, which they refer to as mono. And mono also means monkey, which would be racist. So I don't know what the context is there, but I hope it's not that.
It might be. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
That's
not something we're qualified on. What we are qualified on is how cartoons are good and great.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say that kind of sucks about, like, say, the dub is that, pretty much all of the black characters are played by white actors.
That sucks.
They're
Even
like... Even... Not Satoshi. I think he's like the one character who's actually played by a black actor.
Yeah, he has a name that would imply that.
Like even the...
Yeah,
like
I just googled him. He is in fact...
like even the assassin guy, the old man, this white guy.
Yeah. Monica Rial, who plays
Michiko.
Michiko, is extremely white. That sucks.
I don't like that. I was very... I'm like, Funimation's in Texas. You're trying to tell me there are no black people there? Like, what are you talking about?
And like in Dallas.
Monica Rial is apparently a Hispanic or Latino.
Okay.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm pretty white too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's a weird thing with voice acting because the character on screen is going to be the color that is drawn regardless of the person acting it. But like, especially if you're doing like dialects like this, it gets iffier.
Yeah, the dialect.
There's a clear implication of what you're doing.
Yeah, nothing we can do about that. It already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
At least I don't know. I think Atsuko Jackson's voice actress is black.
Yeah, she is.
That's fine too, which is great. That'd be the worst thing if she wasn't.
Yeah. Samatria Iwunes, I think. I'm sorry. I'm so bad with names. Unless they're Latino names, I can't.
Yeah. So I feel like what they probably did was like they made sure that the main cast was like pretty solid, okay casting, and then everyone else was just like, oh, they're in one episode. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Speaking of people in one episode, Ian Sinclair was in one episode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Space Dandy played the journalist.
Who turned out to be right.
I wish they could have put him in at least one more. He's a reporter. They could have found a way.
Yeah.
He's
fun. I like that. I liked those circus people. I liked that the manager was just a clown all the time, even off the clock.
His tattoos.
Yeah. Oh god.
He used spray paint. They're burns.
Yeah, that's another racially weird thing. The circus, because the circus is like Cirque de Chocolate.
Oy.
So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, Brazil. I need to learn more about Brazil and the racial politics there because, oh boy.
Up here, that would be objectively horrible, but
unless it was a circus made of chocolate.
Oh, delicious!
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That's so great.
And the little girl from the circus was my favorite, like one-off character. I guess two-off. What was her name?
Yeah, I like Rita a lot.
Rita, yeah.
It was just I guess I know we've said this before, but it's just kind of hard to get over the diversity of the way these characters look, because I'm just not used to that in anime.
Yeah, it was really great.
With anime diversity, it's usually blue hair, pink hair, or whatever, but this is like, no, these look like real people.
And like, we understand that obviously, Japan is a largely, not entirely, we talked about this in our Shampoo episode, a largely culturally homogenous country. And really, if you're talking about eye and hair color variations, you usually see that mostly in white people, because we're a bunch of inbred mutants.
Latin America, you'll get a lot of variation too.
Yeah, but like the overwhelming majority of the world's population has dark eyes and dark hair.
Yeah. So
if you have a population with a pretty consistent color scheme, then you use something like Sailor Moon. All those color. A Japanese person having yellow hair is just as ridiculous as a Japanese person having blue hair. It is in that context.
I guess that's pretty true.
Yeah, no, I mean...
It's equally as fake.
Yeah.
So it's all color symbolism. She's not supposed to be a white person.
No.
So there's something of a reason why so much anime is lacking in diversity. A lot of it's set in Japan, which has a population of 98% culturally Japanese people. It's something like that. I don't remember, but like it's largely culturally homogenous. But it's good that, if they're going to have a story taking place out of Japan, that they acknowledge the diversity of those areas. And like, Brazil is largely dark-skinned people, so here we go.
Yeah. And even, like, you were talking about, like, the, light hair and stuff. Like, Atsuko, she has a blonde afro, but, like, it's possible to be dark-skinned and have dark blonde hair. I mean, it's not super common, but it's possible. It's totally like, all those combinations are possible, and it makes her a more fun character design, I think.
Yeah, her character design is super great. I like how even her body type contrasts with Michiko's. She's very skinny, and then has her silhouette. She's got a lollipop silhouette.
Yeah.
It was just an enjoyable watch. Like, I just really sat down and just marathoned the whole thing. And, like, even for the episodes that might have been boring or I might not have known what was going on, it's got such an atmosphere, and it's so just pretty to watch, and I just kind of sat back and just really enjoyed myself. So I don't have a whole lot of academic shit to say about it.
I mean,
but no, you're right. Even, like, the dumber episodes are still very watchable. Like, you watch it, and it's like, beautiful. That wasn't very good, but it's, it was still very pretty.
And the
color palette is so
color palette, the design of all these different towns. All these towns, like, there's like a
million towns.
There's like a through line through the design in all of them, but they're all unique.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and like there's like 12 different towns they go to.
Oh, so much detail and they feel like real places where people live.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Well, because I'm sure they did that because like I see photo sets all the time of like especially when anime takes place in Japan, like they'll show a picture of like an anime background and then like here's the real building that they just kind of drew, and so it's like I'm sure that this just took a whole bunch of inspiration of like actual like you could go to Brazil and see shit exactly like this or close to it.
Yeah,
it's one of those shows where you can just pause at any time and like look around and just soak in every freaking centimeter of the damn screen and just find something.
Oh man.
Like a lot of attention to detail, like all the stuff, all the writing was like I'm pretty sure all the writing was like in the
Portuguese.
language.
It was all in Portuguese, and they actually didn't subtitle any of it.
No.
Yeah.
I was confused sometimes.
Like the first thing, it was like this is Spanish pronunciation because I can't speak Portuguese. It was cinco meses atrás, 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know Portuguese or Spanish, you can eat a dick.
See, I thought it was months ago, because it's...
No, yes, that's 5 months.
Yeah,
that's right.
5 months.
Week is semana. Fin de semana.
Yeah. Well, in Spanish, but I don't know, because, like, I remember...
Presumably, I mean, the languages originated from the same thing. I assume that means 5 months. But,
But, like, I don't know, there are some words that sound exactly the same in both languages, but mean completely different things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
That's how language evolves. But another thing Tooch says, like, Nina and I have all this, like, cultural context that we've osmosed through people we know, and from knowing stuff about South America. Tooch doesn't have any of that, and he still loved the show, so you don't need to have this perspective that we have to enjoy that. I mean, that's always a good thing, like...
It's just good storytelling and good characters.
Yeah,
and it's often one of the best ways to bring across this kind of diversity is to make something that's still universally accessible.
Really complicated, fascinating characters, like, holy shit. Like, I'm still reeling, like, I'm still just, trying to wrap my brain around these people.
I was actually, like, by the end of it, I was actually a little sad about Satoshi.
I know, yeah, we haven't talked about him yet.
I really warmed up. I mean, I didn't completely, obviously, but, like, I don't know, like, he was fun at the end.
Yeah, like, it was so crazy because, like, he attached himself to Hatchin and seemed like a good guy.
Compared to Michiko, I'm pretty sure did he ever, like, even hit Hatchin?
He tripped her. He tripped her in that room full of broken glass.
Oh.
Okay, well...
But he took a bullet for her.
It's action movie. Glass never cuts anyone.
No, yeah.
But, like...
Well, except Die Hard.
But he's a monster.
Die Hard has so much foot mutilation that the rest of Hollywood is like, glass is just paper now. Fuck it. We don't want to see this again.
Including the Die Hard sequels.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, he's nice and unlikable, but at the same time, he's a fucking monster, and he's scary. Like, holy shit. Every single time, like, I thought I was gonna get, like, desensitized, but no, he's scary every single time.
Yeah, well, because it's like, because he's so good at being normal, and then all of a sudden he has to like, oh yeah, hold on, let me just become a psychopath for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, I never got like a psychopath vibe out of him, especially when you compare him to Shinsuke. Shinsuke is textbook sadist.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't get that from Satoshi. He's doing his job. He's brutal, but he's not sadistic.
And he has a love for the job. Like, since he was a kid, he's had, like, this devotion to this job and what it means.
Yeah, the pursuit of power, really.
Power
via any means.
Yeah.
He does, it's not like he takes a pleasure out of killing people. He takes a pleasure out of being a powerful person, and sometimes you gotta shoot a guy in a box.
Yeah, he likes to be more powerful than people. He wants to be the most powerful of anyone he encounters.
He wants to be El President.
Even Shinsuke, like, Shinsuke's pretty standard, like, anime sadist crazy guy. But even, like, at the end, his death, there's, like, no catharsis to it. It was just, like, unpleasant and kind of sad.
Like, even Satoshi was like...
Yeah. And he was a monster. And the whole thing was just, like, so pathetic.
Yeah, and then when Satoshi died, too, again, it was pathetic.
Sudden. Yeah.
It was sudden and pathetic, and it was, like, such a tragedy considering, like, everything this character valued and who he thought that he was. But Satoshi is also interesting to me because of how he's similar to Michiko in the sense of how they view Hiroshi.
Yeah.
Because both of them thought Hiroshi was the best person, like, ever. Which is amazing to me. Because Satoshi's not a dumbass. He's quite the opposite. Yet he thought that this guy was his most loyal friend, like the greatest man he's ever known. And went to a lot of lengths protecting his kid for him and all this crazy shit. And yet, for us as the viewers and as Hatchin, who's removed and is experiencing everything for the first time, it's obvious that Hiroshi isn't any of these things.
Yeah, by the time Satoshi shows up, it's clear Hiroshi sucks.
Yeah. But it's amazing that these two really faceted people, complicated and... I mean, I guess I can buy Michiko a little bit more because she's just in love with the guy, but like with Satoshi...
Yeah, there's more of like an emotional, you overlook some stuff.
Yeah. There's some... It's so strange how this guy creates this fantasy for people of this, like, ideal person or this perfect man to chase after, whether it's a friend or a lover.
I mean, yeah, because like I feel like regardless, they both really loved him. They put a lot of stock into their relationship with him, and I think both of them, and you can see it especially with Michiko, who just goes on a rampage anytime anybody tries to tell her, hey, maybe this is not such a great idea, and he's not so great.
Or he's dead, or whatever.
Yeah, and they're both of them, Michiko and Satoshi. They can't accept that because that would mean that they put all this trust and all this time and all this love into a shitty guy, and I don't think any of them were ready to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean that's a hard realization to have. I mean, he kept Michiko going through prison.
Yeah.
I mean, he motivated her for a large portion of her life. She was in prison for 12 years, and then we don't know how long they were dating, but she presumably was very young when they met. So, like, he was a defining feature in her life.
Or even the lady at the farm, who, like everything we saw with her was Hiroshi being a shithead, and he still has this profound effect on him. He's got this, like, poisonous je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, like, one episode I didn't like the first time I watched, but after we learned more about Hiroshi, made more sense, was the starting line... No, what is it called? The one where they're stuck in the rain and Michiko almost has an affair with this guy.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at first I'm like, this is stupid. Like, what the hell? But then it dawned on me that was kind of a foreshadowing of what Hiroshi was going to be like.
Yep.
And the kind of type that Michiko has. The kind of men she's attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, that actually was very useful. And here I thought it was the dumbest and a waste of time. I appreciated that a lot. Because in hindsight, it was like, oh, yeah, that was important.
We've talked about the ambiguity. And I like how it feels like none of the characters in the show really are good people. Like,
Hatchin's a good person.
Hatchin is the goodest person we got, but I feel like she's so hardened at such a young age that she's a little bit broken.
Oh yeah, totally. I don't know, she seems to turn out fine.
She's 10 years old and she's seen some shit.
Yeah. But then again, I feel like every 10-year-old we saw on that show has seen some shit.
I was gonna say, there was
that baby saw some shit.
That was the thematic, reoccurrence of the age of 10. That was when Hiroshi and Satoshi met,
You guys remember that one baby? That one baby, that dude was just like, oh yeah, there's the mom. She's waiting for someone to step on it.
No, I've heard of that in
That's
real
a real
life.
ass thing.
Yeah, I know, and it's the worst.
Yeah, but every kid you see
has a gun.
Yeah, every kid is are foot soldiers for a local gang.
Yeah. But
I bet that's a real thing, and it's horrible.
The only kid in that entire world who's doing okay is that one nerdy kid who was chasing after the circus girl. He seemed fine. Michiko kicked his spam and stole his bike or something. I don't know.
It's corned beef.
Yeah.
No, he might have died in the desert. I don't remember if he showed up again later.
But yeah, I think 10 is an interesting age to make this an important age, because if you think about it, it's it's on the cusp before adolescence.
Yeah.
So you're still a child. You're still very much a child. But you're an older child. So it's kind of the age when you're really starting to form yourself as a person.
Yeah.
As a thinking being. And what that means to be a person. So in that way, it's a really important age. And for all this vital stuff to happen to these characters at this age, I think is significant. Because it's before adolescence and the hormones and the drama, but past the point where you can actually comprehend what's going on.
Yeah.
It's possible that you have learned empathy at this point.
Yes. That's very important. Drunk Hachiko was so cute.
Yeah, drunk Hatchin.
I still okay, that's another scene. I was watching it and I was like, what she drink? Her thing says juice. What did she drink?
Well, she probably didn't get to eat a lot of sugar in her foster home. So maybe she wasn't used to all the sugar.
I don't know.
Either way, it was funny and cute.
It was so cute.
Oh, so you called her Hachiko?
Yeah, I know. Who's the dog?
Well, I searched Hulu for Hachiko because I forgot the name of the show, and Michiko and Hatchin shows up, so don't worry. We got your back.
Okay.
I did it.
Thanks, Hulu.
Well, Hachiko's actually the famous dog.
Oh, the sad dog?
The sad dog.
The Seymour Ass's dog.
One thing that annoyed me that never got explained at all was the tattoo thing.
Yeah! Holy shit,
I want to at least know what it stands for.
What the fuck? Why did she have it as a baby? Who gave a baby a tattoo?
Who just holds up a baby? Who tattooed this baby?
What drug-addled tattoo artist did that?
And what is the significance? I guess it's connection to Hiroshi, or is it Monstro? Because we don't see Satoshi show any tattoo.
What were the initials? LRRD?
LBDD, I think.
Lieutenant Big Bad Dog? I don't know.
Yes. That'll probably be a boss in Metal Gear Solid 5. Dude, I searched for... I googled LBDD. All I can find is every forum on the internet asking what it fucking stands for.
Yeah, that was never at all. It just... And also, so Michiko went to jail. Presumably between then and the bus accident, Hiroshi knocked some random girl up who gave birth to Hana. And I guess she left the picture... But who gave the baby the tattoo?
Who tattooed this baby?
And I guess it was Hiroshi because he knew that Hana existed. So was that after the bus accident?
Is it genetic? Is it a birthmark?
Con artist, two-timer, baby tattooer, just the worst man.
Is it like the thing from Fire Emblem Awakening where, like, Chrome's tattoo, like, that's not a tattoo, that's his skin. That's what his skin looks like.
There's no way. Because Michiko has it.
Well, Michiko had it as a tattaoo. Obviously.
She did it to be more like the friggin' Hiroshi, like Jacuzzi's face tattoo.
But Hiroshi's was on his shoulder, like where a tattoo would be.
Listen, the Fire Emblem Awakening symbol is like some dragon symbol. It manifests differently on each person. For Chrom, it's on his bicep. For Lucina, it's in her eye bulb.
Okay.
It's obviously the same stupid thing. Because otherwise, who gave the baby the fucking tattoo?
But they call it a tattoo. They don't call it a birthmark.
I'm just because like if Hiroshi didn't do it himself, I'm just imagining him just like going to some the back alley in the back alley of a tattoo parlor someplace, just like, hey, can you tattoo this baby? And then he
dumps the
okay.
baby. He goes through the trouble of branding the child and then dumps it somewhere. Like, I mean, he's a shitty guy, but I'm confused. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention was that we didn't mention the sub. The sub is quite good. And it stars two really famous Japanese actresses, Yoko Maki from The Grudge and Suzuka Ogo from Memoirs of a Geisha, respectively, as Michiko and Hatchin.
Oh,
I think the American version of The Grudge.
Yeah, she was in the American The Grudge, yeah. But she's very famous in Japan as well. Like, apparently the Japanese advertisements for the show focused solely on the fact that these two actresses were in it and didn't even tell you what the show was about. They were just kind of banking on the fact that these two ladies are super famous and talented and you're gonna go watch the movie, whatever.
Because it's a much rarer thing in Japan for a screen actor to do voice work, right?
I mean, yeah.
Because being a voice actor is already such its own thing with it. I mean, you have to be a face.
They're two different. They're very much two different worlds from what I know. I don't think I've ever.
They kind of
anytime I've looked up a Japanese voice actor, Seiyu, I've never seen live action stuff in their credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is the only anime she did. At least looking at Suzuka. Yeah, this is also the only anime that she did. I mean, it is different because like the acting technique and approach in Japan when it comes to like live acting versus voice acting is really different. Like they have a completely different philosophy.
Whereas over here you got a lot more overlap.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, here's another cultural thing I noticed, and this may not have been intentional, but let's say it was. They pronounce a lot of these Japanese names the way that I would have when I was in middle school. Like, most egregiously, Atsuko is how they say it most of the time. Like, a more accurate Japanese pronunciation would be closer to Atsuko.
Yeah.
Now, I was one of those people who for a while pronounced their names Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, because for a long time, whenever I saw a foreign word, I would default to Spanish pronunciation. And in Spanish, and maybe Portuguese is the same way, I don't know, but it's very possible. By default, you put the stress on the second to last syllable unless there's an accent mark elsewhere. So if Naruto were a Spanish name, it would be Naruto. Likewise, Atsuko. So maybe that was deliberate, or maybe that's just them not knowing how to pronounce the goddamn Japanese names.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to visit the Japanese quarters of Brazilian cities and find out. But I have no exposure to that culture at all. That would be an interesting thing to know. If any of our viewers are familiar.
Yeah, if anybody knows more about anything we've talked about, because we've brought up a lot of topics that the conversation ends with, but we actually know nothing, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Please give us your way more educated personal insights. We would love to hear them.
And of course, we're referring to the entire run of this podcast.
Yeah,
yes.
Anything where you're like, no way, dogs. Actually, this is what's up. Like, just let us know. Thank you.
Don't be like what me and Devin say in retrospective and subject your corrections. Hey, douchebag. That's what we've told our viewers to do for corrections.
Also, for the music, which we haven't talked about, but it's amazing.
Oh, it's so great.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I love that opening.
It's composed by Brazilian musician Alexandre Cassin, who is part of the band The Plus Twos. which is a Brazilian band from Rio de Janeiro, which they kind of have like a samba funk psychedelia vibe going on, and it's awesome.
One of the things was composed by an act called Soil and Pimp Sessions, with just pimp in quotes.
Yeah,
I laughed every time I saw that.
Their first 5 albums have pimp in the title somewhere. Pimpin', Pimp Master, Pimp of the Year, Pimp Point.
Pimp Point?
One word. Pinpoint. 1 word.
Where are you finding these albums?
On Soil and Pimp Sessions wiki page.
Oh, Soil and Pimp, yeah.
And then but then the next one, and then they got rid of that, and it's just like, then it's like 6, Stoned Pirates Radio, Magnetic Soil, Circles, and then Brothers and Sisters.
Brief diversion, I searched LBDD for my own edification, and the first thing that showed up on this image search is a sticker with a skull, a devil skull, 2 inverted pentagrams, and it says La Basura del Diablo, which means the devil's trash. I don't think that's related, but it does look like a gang thing. Or a heavy... It looks like a metal thing.
It could be. That actually makes sense. Okay, that's our headcanon. El Basura del Diablo.
La Basura.
La Basura.
But that's Spanish, so it doesn't work.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, the show is pretty unheard. Like we said, unheard of, like we said in the beginning. Like, not that many people know about it. For reasons unknown to me.
I sure hope it has nothing to do with the fact that the cast is predominantly both female and colored. That would be shitty of the world.
That would be super bad and dumb and awful, and I would hate it, and I would kick everyone's ass one by one in alphabetical order, like that guy from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes!
Well, I guess you have to blame Funimation for that, because they're the ones who haven't been advertising it that much.
Dicks.
I mean, this Toonami run is really giving it a lot of viewing. Like, a lot of people are finding out about it through that, which is always wonderful. And hopefully it will make more fans as it goes on. Because it's not perfect by any means, but it really deserves a watch. Like, there's really a lot to gain from watching this show, more than to lose.
And I really hope Sayo Yamamoto has another major project sometime soon.
Me too. Yeah. She's like one of my favorite people right now. She's a really cool lady.
I mean, well, because Michiko and Hatchin was 2008, Woman Called Fujiko Mine was 2012, so, next few years, who knows, looking out.
She did do the ending animation storyboard and was the director for the Attack on Titan ending theme.
Also
probably this, which kind of makes sense to me now that I think about it. The one, I probably the first one with
the spoilers?
No, that's the second one.
Oh, okay.
The first one, she might have done the second one, but there's also the first one, which was the one with,
the scarf.
The scarf, and that character's name I can't remember because I've already
Misaka.
Forgotten about Attack on Titan.
Misaka. I was watching it and I'm like, okay, Misaka always wears this scarf. She's definitely a vampire. I've read League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The next episode explains the scarf and I was pissed.
Oh, it's a Mikasa.
Mikasa.
Like
she's done a lot of storyboarding on other projects, and particularly when it comes to opening sequences or ending sequences, and sort of creating like the style of that kind of stuff, which really shows in this show because it's super fresh, and cool, and great.
Anyway, great show. Let's move on to recaps.
Yeah, everybody go watch it.